Unafraid Show, College Football Apostles. I'm George Wrighster. He's Ralph Amsden, and we got to talk today about the Big Ten and the SEC taking over the college football playoff. Whether we like it, do we love it, or do we absolutely hate it? Carson Beck is now a part of getting robbed. This has happened in professional athletics, but now it's happening to college athletes, and people are blaming him for it. What? Shedeur Sanders, the kid drops new music just ahead of the draft. Are we listening to it, and is it a banger? And of course, there's a scandal going on, but this one is about Aussie punters and their place in football altogether. And last chance, you participants are suing Netflix, that and so much more. Here on the Unafraid Show's College Football Apostles, make sure that you like, subscribe, get notifications, tell a friend about the show, and most importantly, share. Let's get to it. Ralph, we're going to start with the Big Ten and the SEC taking over the college football playoff. I could not hate this anymore. This goes against the spirit of college football. This goes against everything that we love about college football. And if you don't know what's happening, let me kind of give you the recap of it. So, starting in 2026, with the playoff expansion, the Big Ten and the SEC essentially negotiated their own backdoor deal that in 2026, they get to be the lone people who decide what happens for the future of the playoff in terms of expansion, who gets in, all of this stuff. Like, yes, there supposedly is going to have to be a vote on it, but the way it's built, that they're going to have the say so of what happens. And also there are changes that they want to make for 2025, which is the that instead of the conference champions getting buys, that they go in order of rankings, that's who get the buys. We'll discuss that as well. But from 2026 on, Ralph, this is everything that I hate about the game that I love, which is college football, which is the powers and the money dictating everything about it. Because the SEC is dangling this carrot around. Hey guys, we'll play 9 conference games. We'll play 9 conference games, and we'll give you on top of that, guys, for your additional $100 million, we're gonna slash the price and give it to you for 33 million, and we're going to add in a scheduling agreement with the Big Ten. But the 9 conference games is what you've been wanting. We're going to give it to you. But in exchange for that, we need an expanded playoffs to not 12, not 14, but 16 games for you, 16 teams for you, the consumer. And all we want in return is just a minimum of 4 teams in. That's all we want. Let's expand the playoffs, not for the most merit-based teams to get in, but just so we make sure that we have enough teams in. We're going to give you extra spots. You guys want expansion? We're going to give you expansion. But we're not going to give you but in exchange for that expansion, we actually want to take all the expanded spots. I hate this, Ralph.
Are you sure you hate it?
Yes. I hate it with the power of 1,000 suns.
All right, I'm just making sure because you and I have a lot of conversations off air about boxing.
Okay, I'm
We have
nervous.
a lot of conversations, and you have told me quite a few times that you don't have a problem with the fact that Floyd Mayweather was so big that he got to handpick everybody, that he got to handpick the dates. This is the to the rich go the spoils or whatever, to the victor go the spoils. You get to the point where you can lobby enough for your own self-interest and you can take over an entire organization and you can just use it to serve yourself.
Oh,
I told
Ralph.
you this is the thing you just described is everything I've complained about Bob Arum, the Big Ten, and Floyd Mayweather, the SEC, for years. And you told me I was wrong.
Ralph.
And now I hear you talking about college football kind of in the same way. I'm just wondering, did something change? Do you want to talk about boxing? I know it's college football apostles, but I'm just wondering if you see the connection that I see.
Ralph, I'm going to use your example and raise your example, flip it on you, and you're gonna be like, God dang, boy, I wasn't prepared for this, for him to wiggle out of this box. All right, Ralph. So you bring up fantastic points about boxing. You are 100% right. Um, what has happened to boxing?
It's fallen off. Like we only
Yes,
know two or three boxers.
bingo, bingo, bango, bongo. Do you know what's going on in the UFC, the other combat sport? The commissioner, which college football needs, which I've advocated for. The commissioner consistently puts up the best fights. He doesn't allow brinky dink BS scheduling like Ohio State did last year, like Georgia did the last time that they won the national championship, like Michigan did, where you are a power school and you play three gimmies, three layups, three power five or power four conference teams in your non-conference. So I love college football. I want college football to be the number one thing in the entire universe. But it won't happen with stuff like this. It is boxing, Ralph. It will go the same way as boxing if you let the powers that be control and disseminate everything. All you're going to get is Big Ten champion, SEC champion, Big Ten champion, SEC, Big Ten, Big Ten, Big Ten, SEC, SEC, SEC. ACC, Big 12 will never win a championship again because, and this is the problem with college football, Ralph, is that there is a hoarding of power and it is not for the benefit of the sport. It is for the benefit of of the people in power. This is no different than what is going on in the world today, in life, any of that is that's the thing honestly that makes the NFL so great. The Dallas Cowboys are by far the most valuable franchise. They have no better chance of winning than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Green Bay Packers who have no true owner. The fans own the team, but they don't even get an equity split. There's no Ralph, there is no team in the NFL that has no hope besides the Chicago Bears, and it's their own fault. And in college football, the fact that you have teams with no hope, and now with the Big Ten and SEC taking over, there is no hope for anybody else. It is a disaster. This will ruin the sport of college football. Did I wiggle out of the box good enough for you?
I think you made a lot of really good points. I think what I was looking for was like something that rhymes with mouth was flight about boxing. But I
Oh,
didn't catch that, but the conversation will continue at a later date.
all right. So I do not think that this is good for anybody. This is why college football needs a commissioner because college football needs parity. And you're listening to this from somebody whose team does not operate in parity at all.
Right.
My Oregon Ducks are they have pushed their way into the upper echelon of college football with money, with access, with winning, with like a combination of all of them. Right? It is take what Iowa State has done, right? And you add it because they've done an excellent job building the program, everything else. That's what Oregon did, except for you add in Nike, a lot of marketing, a cool factor, like all of the things that Iowa does not have. Oregon has. So they've done the football part and they've done the marketing part. So that's like throwing gasoline on a fire. So I'm saying this as somebody who has benefited from this. And yes, I do know that what I'm asking for means that sometimes, some periods, Oregon's going to have a rough spot. I believe that that is better for the world of college football, that Vanderbilt may win a championship or Rutgers may win a championship than the direction that it's going.
I understand. I understand what you're saying, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. But part of this negotiation right now, there is some logic to reseeding,
Yes, I
which
don't, I got no problem with tweaking the system, like with tweaking
my
the,
my my issue with reseeding is that it ignores that probably just seeding is broken, because so much of it is based on what somebody feels about a team going into the preseason. And if you have a team go 11-1 that didn't have a lot of respect and doesn't have a schedule that a lot of people respect, and you have a team that everyone expected to go 11-1 go 11-1, those two teams don't play each other, then it's very natural for us to say team we expected to be great is much better, deserves to be ranked much higher. And that's because we do have a committee system when it comes to the rankings. I almost wish that, and it's never really talked about, but one of the drastic um, changes that would be made to college football is it's fine and dandy to have AP rankings, but there should be a ranking structure that drops like 6 weeks into the season that is the actual one that we go by. That's all, because it so much of it has to do with what you talked about, the branding, the marketing, the expectations. In the same way that you tell people they have to lobby for the Heisman, a lot of work for what people
yep.
think of you going into next season is done the season before or the season before that.
This is why the Unafraid Show college football rankings are the best rankings on the planet, because yes, we come out with a preseason poll, but then what happens as new information comes? And in the beginning of the season, what do people say about the poll in the beginning of the season, Ralph? Like week 1, week 2, week 3.
Meaningless.
Yeah, the Unafraid Show rankings. They're like, "Oh, those are crazy. What are you talking about?
Well,
How could
because
you rank this?"
they're comparing it to what they know, and they're comparing it to expectations and Vegas odds and everything like that. All you can really deal with is how a team plays and
Yep.
looks
Yeah.
in
And
the time capsule of the season we're in.
yes, and when if Ohio State or Alabama or Georgia or Clemson or any other name brand team starts out the season with 3 layup games, like you don't play a Power 5 game. I don't care if you win by 80 points a game. You're not going to be number 1 in the poll. Just not. Especially when other teams
Yeah.
have beaten Power 4 teams. That that should not be so. And this is the problem with the voting, is that it is based upon, like, they're projecting out what they think. They're like, they beat them by 75 points 3 weeks in a row. Yes, they didn't play any teams that were competition for them, but they're ranked high in the recruiting rankings. This team we know is going to be good. And yes, they may be good, but you should not be ranking them at a particular spot until they have proven that they should be there.
I'm with you 100%. There was a time last year when a 5-6 Kansas legitimately was one of the best 25 teams in the country, but they were 5-6. And so like you should have a system that kind of looks at where somebody's at. You brought up UFC, they have that. There's a fighter that I followed in the UFC. His name is Matt Brown, and he would consistently be ranked amongst one of the best competitors in the entire UFC, even though his lifetime record was like 18-17, because he's being judged based on like what he's capable of right now,
Yeah.
right? And so like there's some teams genuinely in November, Kansas was one of the top 25 teams in the country, and we know this because they beat 3 top 25
Yep.
teams in the country. And so like
Precise.
you should be able to look at things like that. But it's hard. It's hard for
Yeah.
college football to get out of what it's always been, which is reputation and
Yep.
expectation.
And people are not going to put their jobs at risk. Think about if you're Tony Petitti with the Big Ten, if you're Greg Sankey at the SEC, not only will your job potentially vanish, but your job will become less powerful if even if it doesn't vanish.
Yeah.
Your job will become significantly less powerful. You will have less staff, less influence, all of that stuff, and nobody's going to volunteer for that. That's why you have to have this is where the presidents of the universities have to be above the athletic directors, above the coaches, above the commit like that. Those are the people that hire the commissioners. They have to be academic people at that point in time and say, hmm, hmm. I know that we don't understand what's best for sports on a regular, intricate basis, but we do believe big because because there are more have-nots than there are haves in college football.
Yeah.
There are more have-nots, as in teams that cannot win a national championship, versus teams that can win a national championship. And these are in power conferences too. So if you are those teams, why would you not say we need a place where we can be competitive and not a place where we can just make the most money? Because you can make the most money and have no shot. Rutgers has no shot of winning a national championship anytime. If the current system stays the same, and there is a projection that will not happen. And we got a video coming out talking about that $20.5 million, because people have foolishly believed that this $20.5 million salary cap for college football is actually a real thing. It reminds me of the Wolf of Wall Street when Matthew McConaughey is sitting there like in there at the dinner. He's like he was like, it's Fugazi, it's Fugazi. It doesn't exist. It's vapor. Doesn't exist because the schools are going to, like Georgia just said, they're keeping their NIL collective for
Hmm.
third party deals. So they are going to, and what schools are going to do? They are going to skate by with the Title IX stuff, because instead of paying Carson Beck well over $1 million like they did last year, they'll pay Carson Beck from the collective, from the school, like $200,000, and then pay other people 25 and 25, and then put a lot more of that money into tennis, into basketball, into rowing, into all of that stuff, and then have the NIL continue to do the heavy lifting.
Yep. Yep.
Grow up, Peter Pan. This isn't this. This is not. Uh, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this is fake. This is fake news. This is disinformation. This is disingenuine. This is not honest. And a lot of people don't want to say the quiet part out loud, but this is why you come to the Unafraid show, because you're one of us and we are unafraid.
What's the boogeyman here? Because I always do this in my house. That's a big thing. Is when anybody is worrying, I always say, what's the worst case scenario? Let's name it. Let's name it so we know what to prepare for. Is the worst case scenario the Big 12 and ACC are like, all right, well then we're just not going to schedule you guys,
Yeah, yeah. You end
and
up
then
with
you end up with a completely fractured system
yep.
of Big 12 ACC, because like there's still teams in the ACC trying to leave.
Yes, yes.
North Carolina, University of North Carolina, is shelling a little bit of money here and there away every month for like legal fees.
Ralph. And then think about this, right? With the ACC and the Big 12, the Big Ten and the SEC want to do away with the buys, right, for
Mm-hmm.
conference champions. That will never happen for 2025 because that creates an additional $8 million for those schools. So Boise State, their conference, Mount West got an additional $8 million. Same thing with the Big 12. Same thing with the uh, uh, oh, sorry. The Big 12 with Arizona State. So they got an additional $8 million by getting passed through to the second round of the playoff. Why would you give that up when you know you're going to get screwed on the back end?
Oh, of course. Yeah. And I mean, and there's other stuff going on too that only benefits certain schools. So like Alabama and Georgia both passed legislation that NIL money collected by
Oh, it's not
college
taxed.
athletes doesn't isn't subject to state tax. Illinois is trying to pass a bill like that right now as well. And the only reason that the state of Illinois is trying to pass a bill like that is the guy that introduced the bill is a graduate of University of Alabama, so he gets it, right? He's trying to help out the state
The-
state of Illinois. But it's there will always be some level of advantage to certain schools, but I don't understand why those schools have conference commissioners walking around like they're the ones that are disadvantaged or they're the ones that are getting
Yes.
screwed or they're the ones that need extra protection. No, you just have the resources to look out for yourself. The SEC and the Big Ten are not getting screwed out of anything.
No.
And if they have it bad anywhere, that means other people have it worse. No one should be worried about the SEC or the Big Ten for any reason.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. You are 100% right, bro. That's it's gross. Speaking of getting screwed, Carson Beck and his girlfriend, who's it, Libby Dunn?
No. Libby Dunn is
Paul
at
Skeens?
LSU dating Paul Skeens.
Okay.
I believe he's dating one of the Cavinder
Oh, the
twins out
Cavinder
of
twins. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
maybe Haley out of Gilbert, Arizona. Shout out to the
Yes.
Cavenders,
There
former
we go.
Fresno State Bulldogs.
So we got something about this. You guys can go check yesterday's Unafraid Show Daily Live to hear about the other athletes that have been robbed. Well, Carson Beck and the Cavinder twin that he's with have now joined that list of Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, people from the Milwaukee Bucks. All athletes all over the place are being robbed by these gang rings, and we're talking about Chilean gangs, other gangs from other places, and just people just robbing their houses in general.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that there was a time, Ralph, where athletes were protected people in the community. Where if you killed an athlete or something, like it was a no-no. Like gangs, in terms of like they knew, like, stay away from these people, bro. Like it's
Yeah,
going to cause too much heat. You're going to get investigations, then it's going to bother our organization. Stay away from not even just athletes but all high profile people.
right.
And there's still an element of that in terms of organizations, right? But individual people no longer have that same respect. And especially if you're, you know, like, like this ain't your game or nothing. They're like, this is opportunity. And Travis Kelsey and Patrick Mahomes are not people that are like super showy, right? Like
No,
they're not running around looking like Mr. T with 30 gold chains on and or like Floyd Mayweather where he flaunts his wealth. Like that's not it. And where like a 50 Cent lyric, he talks about somebody getting robbed and he's like, that's what you get for stunting on my block, show off. And so Carson Beck and his girlfriend, they just had 3 cars stolen.
right.
A Carson Beck had his Lamborghini and a Benz stolen.
And yeah, and a Mercedes, and I believe He had 3 cars stolen. One was found. Um, and we had heard about his first vehicle, the Lamborghini, while he was at Georgia. And it's very possible that some of these are leases,
Yeah.
not necessarily cars that he owns. Um, but yeah, and then it's Hanna Cavinder, not Haley. My
Okay.
apologies, but Hanna Cavinder is somebody who, Carson Beck. Most people know Carson Beck from his time as Georgia's starting quarterback. He's not really on socials in the way that Hanna and Haley Cavinder are.
No.
Hanna Cavinder has 1 million followers on Instagram, probably more on TikTok,
Yes.
like a million. And there's also just a Cavinder Twins account that has another 400,000 followers. And her sister's got like 1 million too. So like they are a walking billboard. And now that one of the most famous college quarterbacks is dating one of the most famous college basketball players, they make content together. And so they're you got to understand, because I think a lot of people are not going to feel sorry for people with money who get robbed. That's
No.
just how it is. Like,
Yeah.
no, and I don't think anybody should. I don't think anybody should feel sorry for them. I do think that people should say like, that's not a. I think that they should say that's not a thing I want happening in my country. Just people run around committing larceny or grand theft or anything like
Yes.
that, and it can be dangerous. We have the Sean Taylor situation, right?
Yeah.
I think that people should be able to look at that and say, like, as an American, even if you have more stuff than somebody else, you deserve to have that protection. You deserve to feel
Have that
safe.
safety and that peace of mind that I can just sit in my house or go to the damn grocery store and or go out of town to go play a game and my ish is going to be there when I get back.
Yeah, but for every one athlete that gets robbed, 9,999 work trucks are getting their catalytic converters jacked in the middle of their driveway. Like, we
Yeah.
got a massive issue in this country of people just stealing shit, right? And now we have these like Chilean gangs, Central American gangs coming here. They don't care. This isn't their community. This isn't their athletes that they need to protect. And so, they're going around breaking into Joe Burrow's house and posing in Chiefs gear, which is
Yes.
what you talked about on that video. Like, these guys are just going around taking jewelry, taking cars and stuff like that. And you say, like, all right, well, you got to be a little bit less flashy on social media. The problem for collegiate athletes is they're supposed to be. It's the point of the NIL benefits that they get, is that they
That's
capitalize on their skill set and popularity to be a walking billboard for capitalism. The whole point of Carson
mm,
Beck having these cars is to convince you that you need one too.
yep. That's literally
But I
the
think it's
only
maybe
point.
convincing the wrong people, and they're going and getting theirs in a different way.
Hey, you know what? You're you're right, Carson. I do need that car. And I mean that car. Not not I need that style of car. No, no, no. I need that car. I'm going to go get that one from you.
And I feel bad because these college town, like, well, Miami not a college town. Coral Gables not known as a college town, but like,
Yeah.
that when you are a walking billboard for capitalism and you're not necessarily flashing your wealth, but you got to show your stuff off. You're expected to be a commercial for the stuff that you've been entrusted with. So when you're doing that and you got like, people got to get smart. You should post the day after you're in a place,
Yep.
because that's what South
Listen,
Florida.
listen.
That's where
I do that
XXX
now.
Tentacion got killed.
I do that now on some level where I
Post
later
later.
post a lot. Yes. Yeah, yeah. If I'm out of town, usually not posting about it until I get back from out of town.
Dude, you should see how horrified my wife was when I explained to her what Florida's basketball coach was being investigated for, which is using location settings to be in the same area as some young college co-eds. Now, I think he was not found responsible for any
Wait,
of the stuff he was
what?
accused of.
What?
Oh, you didn't? Okay, so University of Florida, which is like a top 10 team this year,
Yeah.
their basketball coach was investigated for using Instagram's location settings to like be in the same place at the same time as some top tier co-eds at University of Florida. And the student newspaper broke that he was under investigation for it. I think ultimately he was found innocent, but I'm explaining this to my wife and she's like, "Wait, you can do what?"
Wait,
And I was like,
that's what I'm
"Oh,
thinking. You can do what? Hold on. Let me go on my Instagram. Right. Wait.
okay, so well, I'm about to create some stalkers. So if you do not use this information for nefarious purposes, use it to protect yourself, use it to protect your family. That's my disclaimer. So when you are on Instagram, okay, and you let's say you're looking at somebody's stories and they're a famous person, okay? Uh and let's say that they're at Dave and Buster's and they location tag Dave and Buster's. If you tap on that location, you can view anybody who tagged themselves in Dave and Buster's stories. Or if it's somebody at the Grand Canyon, or if it's somebody at Yellowstone National Park, or if it's somebody at a Louis Vuitton store.
Uh,
So, like with my kids, every once in a while, I tag the town that I live in. Like when I'm out at a park or something like that, like, oh, it's great to live in X town, right? If somebody
yeah.
follows me and they click on that location, it'll bring up the story, it'll bring up the posts of anybody who posted geotagged from that location, and it'll bring up any of the public stories. So athletes are incentivized to not lock their accounts down, not privatize their accounts down. So if
Yeah.
an athlete is out in a movie theater and they location tag that movie theater, if they have an NIL deal, if they post it while they're there, then someone's going to know one of two things: where they're at and where they're not at. And
Ooh.
that's what these gangs have been using, is not the information of where you're at, but where you're not at. They broke into Joe Burrow's home when he was playing. They
Yeah,
broke into these
because
hockey
you are
players' homes.
100% sure Joe Burrow and probably everybody associated with the business of Joe Burrow is at their stadium, especially if it's a home game.
Yes. And a lot of NFL players, they'll have like security, or they'll have video feeds or something like that. And that's how some of these guys got caught. Maybe they didn't have security at their home. Joe Burrow had a woman at his house. She
Yeah,
ended
that
up
was a whole
calling
nother
the
story, but yeah.
yeah. But but for these college kids, a lot of them don't have security,
Yep.
and so and if you have money and you're in college and you're not a freshman anymore, you're sophomore or beyond, you're probably in off-campus housing. So not only do you have to worry about like, hey, what friends are you bringing around, you got to worry about when everybody knows your schedule. And if you're an SEC player and you play for Georgia and you're on the road at Mississippi State and you live in off-campus housing, what's to stop one of these roving gangs from coming
Mm,
to Athens, going to off-campus housing, posing as a gardener because that's what they've done, posing
yeah.
as a delivery man because that's what they've done, and going in and jacking your chain or your grill or your whip, like whatever. There's no, and so the NFL issued a memo. The NCAA is probably going to have to do the same
Yeah.
soon, to just like, hey, not only you have money, you're advertising that you have money, your
And,
schedule is online. It's not hard to find out where you live. You got to protect your assets.
and here's a pro tip for everybody, regardless whether you're an athlete, anybody. Everybody knows that they should get home. Okay, so regardless of whether you are a college athlete or just a regular person, pro tip here: get renter's insurance. It is extremely cheap, extremely cheap. But it was the best piece of advice I got when I was in college. Like, you're probably gonna be paying like $12 a month. I know you're a poor college student, or if you're just a regular person and you don't feel like I don't really have anything valuable, listen, pay your $12 a month in case something happens. Execute your insurance because it'll save you the pain and heartache of that. So from Uncle George to you guys.
Find any mom and pop insurers in your area, go to them and see if you can exchange the rate of renter's insurance for representing their company. Like, this is
Oh,
how
speaking of that,
NIL
God
should work.
dang it, Ralph. You know what I just thought about?
Starting a insurance company.
My kid doesn't have renter's insurance right now. I gotta hold on. We gotta stop this damn show to make sure this boy gets some damn renter's insurance right now.
I learned the
Um,
hard way, man. I got carjacked in 2016, and all my camera equipment was in my car. And I got a check from the insurance company for the car, and I was like, "Well, what about my camera?" And they were like, "That's renter's insurance," and I didn't have it,
yep,
so I was out $2,000.
yep. All right. Next thing up, lawsuits are happening. So there, the Last Chance U participants are suing Netflix. Ralph has this story.
I do. I don't know how I feel about it, and I'm really curious to get your take. I'm going to read the Zach Barnett article from Football Scoop because it was the most in-depth one that I could find right now.
Yeah.
So here we go. 6 members of East Mississippi Community College, the football team that was the subject of the first 2 seasons of the hit Netflix series Last Chance U, have filed a lawsuit against the streaming giant, the school, Condé Nast Entertainment, the show's director, and the NJCAA over their portrayal in the series and their lack of compensation for what they say was forced participation. And I think that's the most interesting part of this lawsuit because they're alleging that their reputation took a hit, that they're having a hard time getting jobs now, and ultimately that they were not fairly compensated. But the thing that they think is like the thing that would win them a settlement in this lawsuit is, I guess, they're claiming that if they had not agreed to be part of the TV show, that they would have been kicked off the team. So the players, you might recognize some of the names: John Franklin III,
Okay.
Ronald Ollie.
Oh, we're talking football.
Yeah. Last
Yeah.
Chance
Okay.
U, the East Mississippi seasons, the first 2 years.
Okay.
So, like, I think Ronald Ollie was probably one of the big stars of the show. And then John Franklin III had been a bounce back from Auburn, or
Yep.
he might have ended up at Auburn. But they both hit the NFL. But other people, Tim Bonner, Isaiah Wright, DeAndre Johnson, CJ Rivas, they are all in on this lawsuit. And what they're saying is they weren't given the proper amount of time to review the contracts that they signed. They were threatened with being expelled from the team if they didn't participate on the show. And they didn't receive a cut of the merchandise that the community college sold following the show. Um, and Wright, Ollie, and Franklin also alleged that their reputations were damaged after being portrayed in a false light. I don't know if you remember this, but I think Ronald Ollie is the one who straight up asked the college coach to pay him under the table on camera.
Yeah. So
But as far as their reputations being damaged, Last Chance U, the entire premise of the show was that these are all players with like limited capital as far as their reputation goes.
yeah, or that they, academically struggled, had some family like anything. So first of all, the reputation thing, absolutely not. Now they do have now you can be edited a certain way where you look like a jerk, right?
Oh yeah.
So I understand how TV works and all of that stuff. So that can absolutely happen. But here is where I do think that they are um that they may have some grievance, not necessarily legally, but especially for the first season of Last Chance U, because this is how it works in reality television. Your first season, so like let's say that you start out on the Housewives franchise, you're going to be paid about $10,000 per episode. Like this is real life stuff. Like this is not made up. This is for like a regular joining, not if a celebrity joins. Like if a regular person joins, you're going to be paid about $10,000 an episode. If you get picked up the next season, you're going to be making about $20,000 an episode. Third season, you're going to be making about 100,000 plus per episode. You can be making up to $1 million per episode if you turn into one of the most popular people on the show. And with Last Chance U, being that these players weren't on for multiple seasons, it was the franchise that grew. So, no, you weren't going to be paid a lot your first season because it's essentially a trial and you don't make money from it like that. And the people
Yeah.
that made it didn't make money like that from the first season. They made more money the second season, and I bet you they paid the players more the second season. So that's kind of how it works. And this is probably why we're not seeing Last Chance U anymore right now. Is
Wait,
good.
but this is 2015, 2016.
I
So
know.
were the players even allowed to be compensated? Wouldn't that have affected their eligibility?
Ooh, that's a good point, Ralph. That's a good point. And exactly, and I would imagine there had to be some legal restrictions on this because you couldn't use your NIL or anything. So, like, yes, I would. Being that you brought up that point, I need my coins. I do. I do.
Okay, so I was gonna save this for last, but I want you to guess. What do you think the monetary ask is from this group of players and their legal representation?
Oh shit, bro! It's something outrageous.
30
Um,
mil. $30 million.
for how many people?
Six for just the 2015 season of the show.
Yeah. Um. All right. Yeah. Yeah. I get it.
I there what is that? I mean, they're just asking for a settlement, or they're trying to like create a situation with Discovery where they have to turn over the financials for
Yeah.
the show to
Yeah.
figure
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
what maybe
Yes.
they
Yes.
actually missed out
They
on.
were going to ask for a number that, like when people want money from lawsuits and all that stuff, they don't ask for the amount of money they actually want. They ask for the amount of money that will make you settle for like $3 million, and they'll be like, okay, we'll all take 300,000 and go away.
Yeah, what I wonder about is if their ability to even reach any type of settlement will be limited by the fact that all of these players have probably given 10 dozen interviews on their experience with Last Chance U. And my guess is most of them talked about it in a semi positive light.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never heard anything about the players from Last Chance U talking about it publicly being a negative experience until right now. So my guess is probably in the best interest of one of these parties because they named Netflix. I mean, so I've been sued before. I've been sued before, and the person who sued me named Yahoo in the lawsuit.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like like Yahoo.com, like the $1 billion company, because they figured like somebody would just want to be like, all right, go away.
Yeah.
It was ultimately dropped, but my guess is naming Netflix, Condé Nast, all these people, is this a pretty wide ranging money grab situation? Because at the end of the day, lawyers going to take half, government's
Yeah.
going to take half of that. So you get your 30 million. You're talking about maybe 1.5 take home for each of these six players.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. There's no way they're getting 30 million. There's no way they're getting millions from this. It didn't take $30 million to make the here's the thing that people don't understand about Netflix stuff is that Netflix, so like let's say I make Last Chance U. Netflix pays me a fee to license it to them or they outright buy it. It wasn't going to be for $30 million. That's what I'm saying. Like there's no way that there was
Well,
a
no show on earth unless it comes with a big director and a big actor and it's like ordered by the actual streaming service. The concept is ordered, not the actual show. Nobody makes money in season one.
yeah, exactly.
So they're asking for money from seasons 2 through 5, plus the basketball ones,
Yeah.
for what happened in season one.
Yes, ain't no way.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. The next thing up, Mr. Ralph. This one, I don't think that people thought that this was going to do. Um, yeah, I don't think that this is what people wanted to do. Well, when they voted for President Trump and they knew that you were going to be kicking people out of the country, I don't think that they meant because you've seen those dudes that they've been going to the website of people who've been detained by ICE, and they're like, hold up, no, not her. Send her back. She can
That's my
stay.
that's my nanny from Uruguay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other ones are like, no, not the punters. Who the hell are we gonna have punt the damn football? So Australian punters are having their their visas and work stuff like all jacked up now. So some of them may end up having to leave.
Yes, that's part of what's happening right now is that like if you are importing labor of any kind, including college football, things are going to get a little more difficult than they've been in the past. But the real thing going on right now with the Australia to America punter pipeline is that some of these dudes already went to college, which
Mm,
means their eligibility clock already started. So the scandal isn't so much the idea that we're not going to be able to import talent. The scandal is that some of these teams that imported talent got guys that were completely out of eligibility. So there was a
mm.
7-month investigation conducted by Fox 29 in San Antonio, a local television station in San Antonio, Texas. They investigated the pipeline for kickers and punters from Australia into college football programs. And they ended up finding out that, like, um, some of these guys, they were lied about, like the way that some handlers lie about a minor league baseball player's age.
Yes.
They were lied about whether or not they actually started university in Australia. Because some of these
Mm,
Australian punters are like 28, 30 years old.
yes. Yeah. These are grown ass punters, and they're getting groomed out there. So here's the thing, Ralph, is that people don't always factor in that all of that the political things out in the world are going to factor into their sports. I want a good punter at Oregon. And I want a
Yeah.
good punt. If I were an NFL, if I had an NFL team like that, I want the best punter available. And if they got to come from Australia, so be it. Let them in. I will lobby on that individual person's behalf. But that's the issue, is that people want these individual exceptions for the things that matter most in their life, and that's not how it works. Be like, I love my nanny from like you said, I love my nanny from Uruguay. She's a good person and all this stuff. And there has been so much disinformation and misinformation talking about these that undocumented people. They're like, oh my God, they're sucking from the system and this. And yes, there are people from here and there from other countries that are sucking from the system. But the reality is they paid over $90 billion in taxes last year. But I'm just saying.
So at the heart of this is an organization called Pro Kick Australia. So just give you a couple of examples of some of the stuff that they've done. Pretty run of the mill fraud. um, in one case, an athlete's real transcript from Australian schools showed failing grades. However, the transcript submitted for NCAA eligibility had significantly higher grades. um, there's one student that I think had they said there was a kid that actually outed himself. They sat down. He sat down with his advisor and said, "You need to take these classes and these classes." And the guy responded, "I already took that at university." And the college was like, "What? You've already gone to college?"
Oh
And
my
so
God, bro. No. Oh my. Mm-mm-mm. Just keep your mouth shut, fam.
And
Last.
I guess one of the complaints was I bet you anything. I bet you anything because it's very weird that a television station in San Antonio is the one that uncovered an international scandal. My guess is somebody who is a punter handler in the United States tipped off, like handed everything that these reporters need directly to
Yeah,
them
they're like
because
the John Carney kicking school or something. It's like, you ain't gonna keep messing up our players. Get
yeah,
them the
I'm
hell
gonna
up
read
out
you.
of here.
I'm gonna read you a quote from the story, right? So there's a guy named Mike McCabe. And my guess is Mike McCabe was maybe known to this reporter before they started the investigation. Because
Okay.
here's a quote that Mike McCabe gave. Renowned special teams coach Mike McCabe voiced frustration over Pro Kicks recruitment practices and their impact on the U.S. market. The punting market in the United States has dropped 54%, said Mike McCabe. Uh,
What
and
the
he
hell is
said,
the punting market? But okay.
I guess just guys you get from the United States.
Yeah, or just the amount of scholarships that have gone to people from uh foreign, foreign born.
Yeah, yes. This is the literal like they took our jobs.
Yes.
Right? This isn't like jobs Americans don't want to do.
No, this is jobs Americans do want to do. Other people are just doing them better.
Yeah, this isn't picking, it's kicking. So
Yeah. All right.
anyway, shout out to everybody who's got a fraudulent 32-year-old Australian punter.
I want one. All right.
Oh, you never punt anyway. Oregon punts like 3 times every 4 games.
Hey, when you need them, you need them. Just like kickers. Shedeur Sanders has dropped some new music. Why do you seem exasperated? Why are you mad at the quarterbacks? Why are you mad at
I'm
Arch
mad at
Manning? Why
myself.
are you mad at
I'm
Shedeur?
mad at myself. I'm mad at myself.
Why?
I'm mad because when I hear new Shedeur Sanders music just dropped, when I hear that sentence, there's like there's like a boomer Republican in me somewhere deep down. To
Bro,
quote
I have
Shane
to
Gillis, like it just wants to come out. It's like, rah.
in
I
perfect
don't actually
time,
care about this
man.
at all. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's I
Let me
guess
see you do the Shedeur, man. Let me see you do the Shedeur.
I
There.
got to see him do it up close at ASU to the student body. Okay, so I don't know what it is. It doesn't bother me. I love my kids, musicians. My wife's a musician. It doesn't really take anything away from your life to be involved in music. It's a great, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Leangelo Ball just got some money for dropping a hit.
Yep.
Um, I cover Arizona State. I mean, Edmund Boateng, Kalen Balaj, Manny Wilkins, Samson Takachi, Levi Sterling, all guys who put on a helmet for Arizona State. They went in to do music after football. Um, it doesn't bother me at all. I still remember that terrible, terrible music that Kobe Bryant was dropping early in his career.
Wow.
That never bothered me.
Yeah.
Um, I guess it's just that we're inching up on the draft, and I'm pre-exhausted by some of the stuff that's going to be said about Shedeur Sanders.
Listen, I can't wait. I'm actually starting to feel like Cam Ward's going to be the number one pick, but that's for where I feel the momentum's going. But that's another thing. But you guys, though, that is Unafraid Show, College Football Apostles.
Of
I'm
course, you
George
don't
Wright.
got to give an opinion. I'm just the angry white guy at the end of the podcast.
Listen, I'm just not a fan of bad music. So,
Oh, so
some
it's one of those. If you don't have anything nice to say, you're not going to say anything at all.
yeah, man. I listen. I hope his music reaches its target audience.
If he gets the starting job at UC Davis, and like 3 games in, he's playing well, he comes to you and he's like, "I got studio time." What would you say to your own kid?
Oh, I'd be like Doug. He's already making music in his free time. So I got. I'm dead serious. He's like engineering like beats and making beats and all of this stuff in his free time. So like yes, Ralph, I'm going to have nothing to say except for play me my theme music.
Okay, well, what if his lyrics were about his Maybach or whatever?
Oh, he knows that I am not a garbage lyrics guy. He knows. I will straight up tell him, son, the beat's amazing. I mean, but I don't think he wants to be a rapper. Like, I don't think he wants to be a musician in that way. Like, I think he really likes making beats and all of that stuff. So just make good beats, sell them for a lot. But if his lyrics were trash, I would tell him. I'd be like, son, have something to say. Read a damn book.
All right, now that I got you on record, you can end the show.
All right. You guys, I'm George Wrighster. He's Ralph Amsden, college football apostles. Peace out. Catch you guys next episode.